because I have had instances where clients have gone to certain big retail outlets and they've bought a whole lot of tiles, and then when it comes to site, then we start having issues. So first I'm going to say, why do we use tiles in bathrooms, and what do you recommend in bathrooms? Because for me, my pet peeve is when people do sort of 3 little tiles above the vanity. I'm like, we're trying to save money. What?
It looks odd.
It looks odd.
Yeah.
So
it's a bit of a pimple.
Yeah. So what do you recommend when it comes to tiling bathrooms?
So obviously, depending on the look and the feel of the home. So if it's a very classic contemporary home, you may tile the bathrooms to ceiling because that's the kind of look and feel. If it's a modern barn style or just a general home in normal suburb, you would literally tile the wet areas. So you need to have a tile in the shower, and you need to generally have a tile around a built-in bath. And sometimes with a vanity because there's splashing and all the rest.
All right.
But to eliminate the areas where you're not just tiling just the shower, it looks better to completely tile one full wall so that it looks finished.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is you're spending a lot of time in the bathroom, so you don't want it to be clinical. You want it quite warmly and feel comfortable. So
because obviously if you're tiling the whole thing, it starts becoming like a hospital.
It can be.
Okay.
It depends again what tiles you use. You may use a different tile for a feature, which may bring warmth again to it. But if you're tiling limited spaces, what's nice about that is that you can paint the bathroom a different color. You can paint it a warmer color. Say in 5 years' time, now you've got a daughter or a son, and they loved blue when they were 6 years old, and now he's a teenager and he hates blue. Paint the wall a different color. Do a nice soft gray or an orange. It really makes no difference. But as long as you've got a neutral base to work on, and you've tiled one wall or a feature wall on a shower and then returned it to, say, the bath wall, now you're eliminating the issue of damp and issues around the water. And then you've also created if I can say, a panel that looks finished. Yeah, and then paint the rest of the walls, put up shelves, put up pictures. So there's lots you can do, put in a plant. But then you can accessorize it, because tiling or changing tiles in the bathroom, is not an easy thing.
Okay, so that would have been my next question, which I sort of think you've answered, is how do you avoid the trend trap? So tiling with the trendiest thing, and then in 2 years' time, your bathroom is out of date.
So tiles are very fashionable items. So you'll get the very uptrend fashionable items like your very, very popular, or the quadrados, which are the little square formats. Great. If you think now in 5 years' time you're going to be sick of that bathroom and you want to renovate, then do something like that. If you're looking for longevity and you want to maintain that house, you're going to stay in that, you're going to stay in that house for many years, then I usually say to clients, go simpler, the better, because you're not going to get sick of it. And if it's neutral and you go for a neutral palette or a neutral tile, say like a soft stone that's a grayish color, again, what you can do in 5 years' time to freshen it up, change the paint, change the accessories, things like that. So that's one quick way that you can do it. But if you're looking for a trend and you've got a girl and she wants a pink bathroom, do the pink metro or the pink hexagonal, and know that in 5 years or 4 years' time, you probably will be renovating.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I think what I also would like to know is, are there any advantages and disadvantages to tiles? I think as an architect, we do follow certain trends. But yeah, are there any advantages and disadvantages?
There are many. So tiles obviously are exceptionally durable. They take hard-wearing traffic. They are waterproof. So if you've got bathrooms and showers, for instance, like we just said, if you were to use like a concrete product, there generally would be a maintenance issue on that. With tiles, none at all. I had a client the other day, they were looking at a wooden flooring system for their main floors. So yes, and that's I think another episode we may want to do, but you get a laminate, a vinyl, and engineered wood. Or you get tiles that look like wood. They've got 2 young kids, they've got dogs, they live out on a farm. She said to me they want low maintenance. And again, now that's a huge advantage, where if you're going with a wood look tile, you've got the advantage of the warmth look, but the practicality of ease of clean and hard wearing. Okay. So disadvantages to tiles generally, say, for instance, you wouldn't really tile a bedroom in a concrete look tile because it's going to feel colder and it's going to feel cold on foot.
Yes.
Whereas if you went with a carpet or a vinyl or a laminate, it's going to feel a lot warmer.
Okay.
So that's where a disadvantage would be. But generally, there's not many disadvantages to tiles.
Look, I think the one disadvantage I have seen to tiles is when people buy cheap tiles. So I think it is, and that's why I think it was so good to chat, because I think it's important to know what you're getting. Are you getting a ceramic? Are you getting a porcelain? Are you getting a full-bodied? What's the rating? Is it suited to go on the floor? Is it suited to go on the wall? Because I have had instances where clients have gone to certain big retail outlets and they've bought a whole lot of tiles, and then when it comes to site, then we start having issues. But it's
or start laying them, and you can see that it's not.
And it's just not a high quality product, and that's because nobody asked the question. All the person did who was buying them was looking at the finish and the price point.
Yes. So it's the old saying, you get what you pay for.
You get what you pay for.
So at the end of the day, there's a reason why tiles from Italy will cost 800 Rand plus. It's due to the technology, what goes into the glaze, the screen print, the inkjet technology that they have, and the look and feel. You'll get a cheaper tile that might have a glaze that when you look at it at an angle, it's got a bit of a sheen.
Mm-hmm.
But it really does depend on the factory, where it comes from.
Where are tiles made?
All over the world.
All over, but are there specific that are better quality?
So traditionally,
you mentioned Italy.
So traditionally, Italians, they like the market leaders in the world, as same as the Spanish. But many newer countries like Brazil have phenomenal factories.
Wow.
As well as China, which started probably about 20, 25 years ago. Again, really, really good factories and really cheaper factories, but again, they'll have a price point.
Yes.
So you'll pay 300 Rand for a tile from China, but you can also pay 50 Rand.
Yes.
But again, you're going to get what you pay for. And then recently, India has become a massive market leader.
Oh, wow.
Price-wise, a little bit cheaper than China because of their production, and China has a lot of recycling and pollution issues, so they've had to close a lot of factories and shut them down because they're producing too much pollution. So India has obviously picked that up and has started manufacturing much more. And then locally, South Africa's got quite a few tiling manufacturers, phenomenal, as well as a few new ones, say, for instance, in Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Zambia.
Oh, wow.
But a lot of those new factories have been Chinese companies that have set up shop, but running really good products. So it's very refreshing.
Oh, wow. And so I actually that's just made me think of something else. So we also have, and I've used them in some projects, we also have almost bespoke tiles being handmade. There's a company,
or ceramics.
I don't actually know what they are now. I think they're ceramic, maybe.
I think they are ceramics. Yes, they're handmade, which would make it easier for them to use ceramic because it's more durable to make. And then they would put the glazing on, and then probably bake them in a small kiln.
So if you're looking at that, how do you ensure your quality there? If I've had clients who specifically want to support local.
Yes.
But I've never actually. I was like, oh, that's lovely, but I never actually asked the question around quality.
So quality on those kind of products, again, you wouldn't really use them en masse. You'd use them in limited areas.
Yes,
so
they are.
Let's say now we're using it as a feature behind a vanity in a guest WC.
Yes.
So not taking a lot of wear and tear, but more practical for a feature.
Okay.
100% great.
All right.
Yeah, works well.
Okay, well, thanks for your time, Mitch. I certainly have, I now know the difference between the three types of tiles, so I really appreciate that. If people want to get hold of you, we'll put your credentials down in the bottom of the video.
Perfect, thank you.
Great.